Welcome to The Joy Factor, a podcast dedicated to helping you create a path to joyful living each and every day. We're sharing inspiration from real people, combined with practical tools you can use to unleash the playful and joyful spirit already inside you. Now, here's your host, therapist, life coach, and yoga teacher, Julie Hansen.
Hello and welcome to The Joy Factor. I have been wanting to do an episode on digital detox for a while now, but today seemed like the perfect day to actually sit down and do it. So the average American is spending more than half their day staring at a screen. Ugh, yuck. I am not going to throw out a bunch of statistics about the dangers and the problems of too much technology, but I would like to ask you a question. And that's pretty simple. What's your relationship with technology? Does it feel healthy to you? Or do you have a sense that it's maybe time to take a break or rein it in? I've asked myself those questions and I wasn't happy with the answers. One of the reasons I asked the questions is because I would get online and immediately start to tense up and feel irritated. And one terrible habit that I've had in the past, and I'm still working on it, was checking my phone first thing in the morning. So before my feet even hit the floor, I would grab up my phone, start on Facebook, and spend 10, 30, maybe an hour just scrolling. Ugh, catching up, whatever. This is a terrible way to start the day. But try to tell that to the addicted part of my brain. Recently, I was able to take a technology break, and 24 hours is what I did. I still had to check my email. I still had to make phone calls, but I really turned off the news, turned off Facebook, turned off all of the social media, and it really did clear the clutter in my head. I definitely feel more in tune with my day, and I also feel better able now to be more mindful about what I do online. And so that's kind of my hope for you today as you listen to this, is to get some tips on how to look at your own patterns and then figure out how you're going to take a detox. We'll be touching on mindful use of technology to help you set some intentions around your use that will actually deepen the quality and the purpose of your life instead of sucking you dry and leaving you frustrated, alone, and angry. I know, isn't that awful to be frustrated, angry, and alone? Let's work on that, because you are a joy seeker if you're listening to the show today, and boy, it can be hard sometimes to keep that joy. So this is one way that you can begin to reclaim some of that for yourself. So let's get started. First question, how much time are you online? So if you had to guess, how many hours do you spend either on your phone, on your computer, in some way in front of a digital device? And then in your waking time, how many hours do you spend without it? So when you're not at work, when you're not physically driving the car or taking the shower, how much time do you spend without your phone or your computer in front of you? So just take a moment and kind of think about your week and see if you can just get a general estimate. Can you relate to what I shared about picking up my phone first thing in the morning? And we didn't even talk about, last thing before going to bed. So are you one of those people who, just like I was, picks up their phone and looks at it first thing? Do you keep it on all night so that you can get notifications throughout the evening? Now, once you have a number, and be honest, really let yourself figure this out. And it might be overwhelming to actually sit down and figure out your totals, but I really hope you'll do this. You don't have to have an exact number, but just try to do a quick tally. How much time do you stare at that screen? Okay, so hopefully you have some number in your mind. Let's say your number was 10 hours per week. I really don't have any idea, but I think that, from what I see and what I hear from the people I work with, the phone is always on. So 10 hours a week. Now, The next step is to think about when you're on your device for 10 hours a week, what are you doing? Are you debating with someone on Facebook? Are you scrolling headlines, liking random pictures, composing long birthday messages to people you really don't know? Maybe you're looking at pictures of cute puppies. You might have a whole album of cute puppies. I don't know. You might be listening to an awesome podcast that is just waiting to help you be more joyful. Shameless plug. What does your life online look like? And if you had to use a few words to describe kind of the essence of what you're creating with the time you spend online, what would they be? And some examples for a word. Does your use make you feel like you're having more fun? Does it relax you? End up making you feel stressed? Angry? I know I get angry. Does it make you feel inspired? Kind of ready to do something amazing? Or is it more disconnected? Lots of people feel more connected than we've ever been, but also way more disconnected than we've ever been. Do you feel more mindful? What is the essence of what you're creating with the time you spend? How does your use define your life? So if we looked at, based on how you're spending your time online, what values would be in play? What does it bring you more of? And what does it bring you less of? So those are some big questions, and I think really good ones, because this is how you're going to figure out, what a good amount of use is for you. And this is how you're going to protect yourself and help with your resilience when it comes to not being swept away by your online use or the interactions you're having on it. What are the words you would use to describe the essence of what you're creating with the time you spend online? Now, the point of doing this, of course, isn't to make you feel bad about what you discover. It's really to shine a light on our patterns. We do a lot of things without really thinking, and mindless use of technology is at the top of the list. So if we want to get more mindful, we have to sort of stop, back up, and kind of look at what's going on in the present moment. We don't have to judge it, but in this case, we are going to name it. So that's the point. The point is not to tally up and realize that you've wasted 2 years of your life. You might find that out. I don't know. But the point for today is how much more of your life won't you be wasting from this point on? So we want to just pull out this idea that too much is a joy stealer. So stick with me and we'll get you aligned with what matters the most to you. Where does your technology use steal your energy? And you might have a particular website, you might have, something you're up to that you don't want anyone to find out about, or maybe you need, to really kind of step back and think, this is kind of my shadow side coming out when I do these things. So what are they? What habits hurt you? In order to reclaim the good that we're all capable of, we've got to name what our shadow side is up to. So write that down. What are you doing that you want to stop doing? What are you visiting? What are you reading? What are you thinking when you're online that is probably hurting you and that might be hurting someone else? All right. We are working on really digging into kind of your patterns of use when it comes to being online and just taking an inventory to kind of figure out, is what I'm doing too much? Is it not enough? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe you're not online at all. But if you are looking at that time and figuring out for yourself, is this how I want to be living my life? Is this the kind of experience I want to be having? And if not, can I put this on a list and begin to really tackle it so that it doesn't have to be this way? So set your list aside for a minute and let's look at this from another angle. We've talked about circling around what you're doing online and how often you're doing it. Let's look at whether or not your time online is having a negative impact on your life or if it's adding value. I knew I was addicted to my phone the minute I tried to stop looking at it. Has that ever happened? Or if you've tried to take a break or maybe you forgot your phone? Ooh, that's bad. Unless you really are deciding, all right, I'm taking the weekend without my phone. If you happen to forget it, that can bring up a lot of anxiety. Now, if you think about how life is with the people you live with, if you have children, how many hours a day do they spend in front of a screen? What are they doing? What do you notice happens if you try to set rules around screen time? Do you give your child a screen to watch in the car or the grocery store, in restaurants? Have you ever thought about why you're doing this? And again, nobody can tell you what's, right or wrong, but just listening to this and thinking about, what am I doing? Am I trying to shut my kid up so that I can eat my meal in peace? That might sound judgy, but I know you want to be connected to your family and not tied up with your phone. So just consider this just a little, moment, an opportunity to stop and say, all right, what do I want to be doing? Have you noticed family members ignoring each other when they're tuned into a digital device? When you're away from it, do you find yourself thinking or talking about it? Are you taking your phone onto the toilet with you? Yeah. As you consider these questions, again, try not to be too hard on yourself. This is not a life or death situation. If you don't like the answers, just know you're a human being, and that's probably a good thing if you don't like them. I felt terrible when I realized just how overly connected I'd become, but feeling guilty is not going to change the situation. Instead, you're going to have to call on that part of you that knows better and is ready to create an action plan. So now that you've identified your patterns of use and how they leave you feeling, let's layer that with a few benefits of doing a technology detox. Well, a big one, obviously, is avoiding missed opportunities, right? When we're constantly distracted, we miss out on important face-to-face interactions. So this big benefit of being able to reconnect with the world around you is definitely going to have an amazing effect. So looking up, making eye contact, saying hello to people puts you in touch with the people you love, the people that you have the potential to love. Nature, which is one of the huge things that, the more we can connect with that, the better our lives are. So many possibilities when we avoid missing opportunities. A second benefit of a detox is, just lifting your spirits. If you're always checking your social media, you are likely to get caught up in the hook of feeling jealous or angry or anxious. If you've been debating with someone over the recent election, there is little chance that the interaction will lead you to feeling peaceful, connected, or inspired. Oh, and also, when was the last time you ever had someone say, "Thanks for showing me the light. I see your side of things. I'm coming to the other side." I would love for that to happen. And if that has happened to you, let me know. But it really seems like so far the divide just keeps growing. So whatever we've been doing is not working. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not saying you shouldn't stand up and take action against hate, racism, misogyny, discrimination, any of the million things going wrong right now. Just that arguing about it on Facebook is a complete waste of your energy. And mostly, it has a high potential for bringing out the worst in you. So if you really think these causes are important enough to put some energy into, think about what would happen if you used your energy wisely. Leave your house. Join with others to take action. Pick up your phone to organize something, but then put it down and show up someplace. Last night, my family and I went to the local Chipotle here in Frederick, and 50% of the proceeds from the evening were given to the Frederick Center, which is a local organization that supports LGBTQ youth and adults. And I can't think of a better way, to spend an evening going out and eating for a cause. You can do those things and you can tell other people to do them and join together for dinner. Same thing goes if you're feeling jealous of someone else's accomplishments. Kind of shrinks your heart, makes you feel bad, can't help but look at their updates, but then you feel judgmental when you do. This too is a sign to put the phone down, step back, wish your friend well, and dig into your own goals a little. If you want to take a vacation and you're jealous of somebody's beach pictures, get moving. If you spend 10 hours a week looking at your phone, imagine what you could accomplish by putting your energy elsewhere, like on yourself, or maybe on your community. Who could use some help or support right now? Maybe it is you. Maybe you could use a vacation. Start working on that. Like start saving some extra change and start thinking of ways that you could have some of those goals manifest. If you've got lots of opinions or ideas or thoughts on something, it's time to get busy, not get distracted. And that brings us to this other benefit of being able to refocus when we take a digital detox. In order to be productive, to amp up your level to think and have a deeper capacity to focus on a task, taking a break from any kind of digital device is an amazing way to get started. If you've got a goal or a dream or an idea, it's really hard to bring these ideas to life when you're distracted. Taking a break will help you refocus. And this means that you are taking a look at what your blind spots are. So if you're a procrastinator and you've got all these things you do to procrastinate, I am guessing your phone might be one of them. And again, this isn't to judge anybody or anything, right? Like this is just to give you a tiny little knock on the door that says, yoo-hoo, what are you doing? This is your only life. So if you've got a little bit of energy to take action so that you can avoid future missed opportunities, then take what I'm saying to heart. And maybe you don't want to hear it, but give it a chance. And that takes us to another benefit, which is, we can enjoy a fresh perspective. If we're constantly reading and responding, that's overwhelming and it hooks you. When you're able to step back and have a little perspective after taking a break, you can approach your use with new boundaries. And this is going to bring new energy and good stuff into your experience. I know for myself, I am still working on it, but I can tell you that if you stick with it and you really decide, okay, I am going to, from now on, not have my phone on when I'm in the car. Like you have to figure out when you are most at risk for kind of dipping into that world of mindlessness. And then you have to come up with another activity to do instead. So getting some perspective helps you step back so that you can do that. So these are just a few reasons to unplug. You have to figure out which ones resonate most with you and what you might have to gain from taking a break. How might your life improve? Again, the more you interact with this information, the easier it's going to be for you to make it happen. So we have figured out the pattern. We've looked at not only how much we might be, spending time online, but what we're doing when we are online, listed some of the benefits of taking a break. And, the next step is to really decide, what's the plan going to be to unplug? I recommend that you figure out a specific time to take your detox. If you can do 24 hours or you can set that as a goal, do it. Now if it looks like, well, I can start with 10 minutes less each day, do that. But like I said before, if you've got a specific activity that's pretty tempting, like if you do take your phone into the toilet with you in honor of cold and flu season and a bunch of other awful things that can happen, how about if you started there? How about if you said, I'm not going to take the phone onto the toilet with me anymore. And I'm sure that's not you, but if you know somebody who could use that message, please share this important public service announcement. How about while driving? If you are somebody who is on your phone while driving, cell phone use while driving leads to 1.6 million crashes each year. That's 1 out of every 4 car accidents in the United States that's caused by texting and driving. That's just one really easy way. Or maybe you want to break it down and you decide, all right, I'll only get online if I'm stuck in traffic, but not when my foot is actually on the gas. Like, again, talk to yourself, acknowledge your pattern, and then figure out what can you commit to. If you're like me, you might want to go with the bookends to unplug an hour before bed and an hour after waking up in the morning. You know, if you can just start the day with some other space in your brain, all the better. That is, that morning routine is so important, and figuring out what you need in your morning routine is a really powerful step toward some of these goals we've been talking about. So what are you going to do with all that extra time? Now that you've figured out, all right, I'm going to take a 24-hour detox, or I'm going to, begin to start in 10 or 15-minute chunks, got to find some alternatives to what you've been doing. So instead of browsing your social media feeds when you're bored, make a list of activities you could swap for your tech time. You are going to have to figure out what your list should include, but I'll get you started. And we've talked about some of these. Learn a new skill. Is there a project you'd like to get started on? Is there a book you've been wanting to read? You might have a novel that you've heard was good and you just never feel like you have time to read. So that could be what you do is, read a book, listen to a book, get involved in your community. Don't just talk about it, be about it. If you are sad, mad, angry, frustrated, passionate, inspired, get up, find some way to make yourself useful. All those posts you've shared should give you a little insight about what you're passionate about. Show up and get involved. Be a part of your community. Can't emphasize this enough. Exercise. Ooh, yeah, get moving. Are you getting enough exercise? Are you taking a good solid walk in your day? Are you doing a little jog? Have you bent over and tried to touch your toes lately? Perfect opportunities to put down the phone during your detox and get a little exercise in instead. And that's also going to just help you do the detox more efficiently and more smoothly. You're going to feel better. Maybe you want to just chill out, right? This is like the ultimate activity I would highly recommend. And that's just to give your brain a break. Consider taking up a meditation or a relaxation practice. So I think we should practice this one. I'd like to spend a few minutes just taking you through just a quick guided relaxation practice to give you an idea of how quickly we can reap the rewards of this. So if you just find a place where you're comfortably seated, both feet are on the floor, let your hands rest in your lap, and then go ahead and close your eyes or just turn your gaze down to your lap. So we just want to tune out the world around us and find that space where you can focus on your breathing. So inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Start by counting to 4 as you inhale. And then counting down from 4 as you exhale. Noticing any distractions as they come in to your mind, but then gently turning your attention back to your breathing, tuning into the inhale to a count of 4, exhale down from a count of 4. And then on your next exhale, see if you can let that exhale soften your face a little bit. So as you go through a few rounds of releasing the breath, try to soften your eyes, the space around your jaw, maybe your forehead. Just let each exhalation release any kind of stress or holding that you're doing. Let your eyes be soft. Even let your tongue inside your mouth be soft. And continuing to notice the distractions as they come in, but then gently turning your attention back to your breathing. Inhaling to a count of 4 and exhaling down from a count of 4. Next exhalation, putting your attention on your hands resting in your lap. So see if you can soften and relax your hands each time you exhale. Let them become a little heavier, a little softer. Just releasing the tension through the exhale, letting it travel right out your fingertips. And then continuing to notice distractions that might be coming in. Gently, always gently turning your attention back to your breathing. Continuing with the 4-count breath. And next exhale, let your attention rest on your feet. This time, each time you exhale, just softening your feet and relaxing a little bit. So maybe you can notice the stress going right out your toes as you exhale. Or maybe there's just a sense that they're softening and relaxing. And then for the final piece, starting with the face, moving down to the hands, and then coming to the feet. Going at your own pace. As you exhale, spending a moment on each of those 3 areas, just to start that path of teaching your body how to relax and practicing with your mind how to hold attention and hold space to focus on your breath. And if you haven't already moved on to relaxing your feet, go ahead and do that on the next exhale. Just a quick scan. And then as you're ready, you can come back to the room around you. And hopefully you feel a little bit chilled out. Hopefully you got a little taste of what it's like to just take a minute. I think that might have been 2 minutes to, tune in to your breath and your ability to use it to kind of relax and release. Perfect way to take a break during the day or before you go to bed. Lots of free resources online for that, but that's just a little taste if you're not familiar. So yeah, you definitely want to consider using some of this time that you're going to be detoxing for relaxation activities. Managing your stress is the number one way you can improve your health. I've gotten a lot of phone calls this week from people who are freaking out because they are so stressed out with everything that's happening and so scared. And it's more important than ever that we really turn to these resources that we already have. We just have to remember to use them and then practice. So now that you've put your use patterns on the table, you've identified some things you'd like to do with all that free time you're going to have. I know, it's exciting, right? What's next? Time to quit. Tell some friends what you're doing. If that works for you, hopefully you share this episode with them and maybe get a crew of people who decide we're going to take a break. And maybe you don't tell anybody. I don't know what you're going to do, but I want you to know that you've got options. And the point is to figure out what's going to work. I highly suggest taking a full 24-hour from all social media for starters. Black out the news, the opinions, other people's photographs, all of it. Set your day and stick with it. If you want to start small, we talked about starting, maybe you take a half a day, maybe you go in 15-minute increments. If you think 48 hours would be a nice challenge, go for it. just figure out the most important thing, and that is what time frame can you commit to let your brain settle down and get a break. The night before your detox starts, make sure that you have your phone or your device out of sight, or at least have it turned off. And you got to talk to yourself and promise yourself that the only thing you're going to be doing with your phone is making actual calls. Now, if you have to get on it for work, you got to do what you got to do. But you know what you're going to use the phone for and what you need to versus what you are in the habit of doing. So if there's someone you haven't spoken to in a while, call them. Have an actual conversation. And then pull out that list of activities you made and keep it close by. Once you have done the detox, do a little debrief. How did you do? What did you notice? Was there anything that you missed from taking a day off or a little bit of time off that really was super important? What did you end up doing with your time? So just really kind of spending time reflecting on how did that go? Like, what are the things that sort of rose up that I need to be aware of or that I want to investigate a little further? Once you've debriefed, it's time to set up mindful usage. We've already talked about this a little bit, but one of the best things that you can do is really set a goal for how much you want to be online. And then this is the really important part. How do you want to spend your time online? So if you're studying the work of Gandhi, stay tuned for the next episode. Or maybe you're trying to start a new business, dive into it. But if you're wasting time scrolling out of habit or just getting angry at what you see, remember those are warning signs. Back away from the screen and use that anger for something that will actually make a difference in your life or in the world around you. When we're trying to set up a mindful relationship with technology, we have to ask ourselves, is this action or experience really helping me enjoy my life more? Is it making it possible for someone else to enjoy theirs more? Or is it chipping away at my sanity and maybe even adding more ugliness to the world? So please, for the benefit of everyone, try to keep that in check. I'm here to help you enjoy your life more, and I hope that you count the show as a useful part of your technology routine. So if you want to let me know, you can stop by the Joy Factor podcast page on Facebook, or you can visit my website at thejoyfactorpodcast.com. It'd be great if you went to the webpage or from your iTunes page. If you search for the Joy Factor podcast, it'll pull up the button that will allow you to give me a review. So I hope that you enjoy the show today and that you really find some joy in the rest of your day.
Thank you for listening to The Joy Factor. For more information, visit www.thejoyfactorpodcast.com.